I'm going to go over the brake change procedure right now on a 6th generation Toyota Camry. You need a torque wrench, a ratchet. You can do it without it, but it's nice. Following socket sizes: 21 millimeter to remove the lug nuts on the wheel, a 17 millimeter, this removes the caliper bracket, and a 14 millimeter, this one actually removes the caliper from the caliper bracket. You use a 17 millimeter wrench with the 14 millimeter socket to separate the caliper from the caliper bracket. So the procedure that you need to follow: put some gloves on, loosen the lug nuts on the wheels while the car is on the ground. Jack the car up, put jack stands under the car to support it, lower the jack. These are even, so now we're going to lower it. Then remove the wheels all the way. What I do first is I take my 14 millimeter socket and my 17 millimeter wrench, and I remove the caliper from the caliper bracket, and this exposes the pads. Some cars are going to come equipped with the anti-squeal springs. Mine are not on there. I don't use them. I just use the lube on the back of the pad, and that works fine for me. If you're just changing pads, you can slide the new pads in now and stop here. If you're going to change the rotor, you need to remove that bracket. You take the 17 millimeter socket and remove the caliper bracket, and now your rotor should be free. If it's not, if it doesn't come off right away, just strike it with a hammer and it will come off. I take my rotors to Sears to get them turned. It's about 11 bucks. This is cheaper than getting new rotors. If you have enough material left in your rotor, then you should just get them turned. After you get them back, you clean them off. I spray them down with brake clean. Slide them back on there, like so. While you're at this stage, it's also very important to lube up the slide bolts that are in the caliper bracket. And these are the slider bolts. So these pop out of here. Get all the old grease off of there. Then you take your grease and put a very good amount of grease on it. One of my bolts was completely dry, and I think that was a result of high brake temperatures. So make sure that you get a very high temperature grease. The reason that it's important to keep these lubed is when they go dry, they can stick, and then one pad will get worn down and the other one won't get worn. So your pads won't last as long if this happens. So make sure that those have a lot of high temperature lubricant on them. Greased bolts in place. Then I put the caliper bracket back on. The bolts to hold that guy on, torque them down to 79 foot-pounds of torque with your torque wrench. Alright, you can see the bracket is on there. Then I slide the new pads into that bracket. Okay, so as long as you pay attention to those clips right there, trying to focus on them, the pads will pop right in. Also, before you slide your caliper over the caliper bracket and bolt it in, you need to lube the back of the pads, or you can use your anti-squeal springs. Those should keep it quiet. I don't use those. I just use the supplied lubricant that comes with my pads. Put it on the back and it works fine. Alright, so the back of the pad is all greased up now. Before you put the caliper on, you have to push the piston in the caliper back in order for it to fit over the new pads, because they're going to be thicker than the old pads. Some people use a C-clamp for this, but I don't think that's necessary. Caliper, what I do is I take an old pad, throw it in here, and then just press like this. And if you want to, you can like throw some weight into it. And it's a lot quicker than getting out a C-clamp. The bolts that hold the caliper to the caliper bracket are torqued down to 25 foot-pounds of torque. After you do that, you should bleed your braking system. I'm going to go over that in another video. Put the wheels on and torque the lug nuts down to 76 foot-pounds of torque. After that, you can go out for a drive and bed in your brakes.